Thank you, Ray. Thank you very much. So, good morning, everybody. Um, okay, so we, as Ray was alluding to, we're in some pretty exciting times at the moment, and as the global economic conditions are proving to be a little volatile, mobile and tech sector is absolutely no exception. So, having a few bits of news just recently that Huawei claimed that their unaudited profits last year were up 33%, and Samsung reported in the last quarter of last year that they'd seen a 76% jump in their profits due to sales in the Galaxy smartphone. And we've also seen Apple has been knocked off the top spot as the world's #1 company due to a dip in their shares last week. And we've also had a new device kind of come out, which we've been hearing all about, the phablet. While not a new sector of device, Dell brought their streak out a few years ago, but Samsung have really made it with their Note selling more than 1 million units in 2 months. So, what does the current landscape look like? Now, don't worry, I'm not going to do too many stats, but I did just want to share a few things with you to try and set a little context. And I just wanted to look at some of the figures for Asia, because Asia is a very exciting market at the moment, and as you're just going to see, such a dominant market in terms of mobile growth. So what we can see here, the top lines just show the number of new subscriptions in, so this is Q3 from last year, and the bottom shows total number of subscribers in a region. So if you just see the red line, you've got China, not only huge volume of subscriptions, but just look at that growth. And then next to it on the right, you'll see India. But bizarre about India is you'll see there was actually a decline in subscriptions in Q3 last year, and that was down to actually the networks in India having a large-scale disconnection of non-active subscribers, which, and if you just look at the rest of Asia, which is right in the middle there, huge figures again. So if you put all of Asia together collectively, then it just makes the rest of the world look pretty insignificant, really. So while Asia dominates the world with the sheer volume of devices with those highest growth rates, Asia also has some of the lowest populated and penetration markets in the world, such as Myanmar and North Korea, which have both got less than 7% penetration. But, and this is the last stats I'm going to share, no more after this. But as you can just see there here, this is projected growth of subscribers up to 2018. Just look at the green section in the middle. That's all of Asia. And just look how big that is compared to the rest of the world. But it's not just the number of subscribers or the volume of mobile phones in Asia. Along with this growth, it's also had an impact on ad spend. So total ad spend in Asia last year was $4.3 billion on mobile. And to put that into context, North America was just over $3 billion. But what's exciting in Asia is that kind of mobile ad spend isn't just on banner ads and cost per click as a Google model. It's actually including really leading-edge methods of reaching consumers through paid positioning on maps and the use of augmented reality. So, as this mobile phenomenon is really kicking off and exploding, our clients are looking for greater visibility of the consumer and to understand consumer behavior. They really want to know what's impacting consumers' decision-making and understand that path to purchase. And at Kantar, we've created solutions and offers to help clients to understand that. And through the course of today and tomorrow, you're going to hear from some colleagues of mine at Kantar that are speaking about these kind of very offers. So a little bit later after me, we've got James and Remy from TNS, and we've got Pankaj from Mill Brown tomorrow. But I wanted to talk a little bit more about how I see the future and where we see the next 18 to 24 months going. So I'm going to start here. So I'm going to start with Amazon. Okay, so Amazon were the world's #1 entertainment retailer over the Christmas period. And they are supposedly responsible for almost a quarter of all entertainment product sales over the Christmas holiday, which is impressive, isn't it? And if you wanted to set up and compete with Amazon, though, you don't need to be understanding how can you do next day deliveries, but you need to be understanding big data. Because Amazon have become the masters at collecting data so that they can cross-sell and to understand how that they can sell targeted advertising. Now, big data isn't a new term or a new word. This is a cover from February 2010 Economist. And you probably can't pick up a newspaper or magazine today without reading about big data. So if big data isn't new and everyone knows about it, why am I talking about it today? Well, simply because I think that this is going to have one of the biggest disruptive influences on our industry. And I wanted to just explain a little bit about why. So let me just start by explaining. So back at the beginning, when market research began, so I bet none of you thought you'd be seeing a picture of such an antiquated device as this at a mobile conference. So that huge box, which is the size of a child, that's a radio, which we all now have on our phones. But back in the 1920s, that was the latest ModCon must-have for every house. So market research began in the 1920s, and it was an offshoot of the advertising boom from the golden era of radio. And it was because advertisers began that there was significance in demographics revealed by sponsorship of different radio shows. And thus was born the basic model of question and answer surveys. And that didn't change for best part of 80 years. And it wasn't until we got into the late 90s, early noughties, when the internet began to grow and we started to see the rise of web surveys. Now, there was a rapid growth of web surveys. 3 reasons. 1, it always helps if you're going to save a bit of money, and self-completion web surveys did indeed bring about cost efficiencies. Secondly, there was an improvement in quality because there was no interviewer bias to your survey. But thirdly, what was a real game changer about web surveys was the fact that it was no longer just about questions and answers, that now we could actually passively track people. With the continued rise of the internet through the noughties, there was a need to measure the internet to understand how we can optimize it and how we could gather audience measurement to aid media planners and hence cookies. So this was done in all manner of ways, and research companies started to build up specially opted-in panels to be able to measure clickstream and so on. But this caused, at the time, quite a lot of contention in the research industry. There was the very traditionalists who didn't agree with this kind of research. And in fact, I have a quote here from a leading research president at the time who said, "Anything where a person's identity is used isn't market research, it's spying. We market researchers are always at risk of getting a bad name from people who mistake market research and data mining, which is about finding out enough about people to sell them something." While at that same time, the data miners were saying, what we need is not market research, it's more transactional data. It's well known that past behavior is the best predictor of future behavior. Attitudinal research is weak at best. Well, I don't know who was going to win that argument, but today the internet measurement business is worth billions of dollars. And of course, as the mobile phenomenon comes along, then there's a real need now for the industry to find solutions to understand how we measure consumer behavior on mobile devices. Clients are always asking us, how can we measure the impact of the digital campaigns? What's the mobile impact on the path to purchase? How do consumers actually consume mobile? So we believe at Kantar that we're on the cusp of a very big transformation, as I was saying a little earlier, and we've seen that the smartphones present many exciting ways for us to collect data. And the device itself contains more sensors than ever before. And as Google had previously said, that the sensors in a mobile phone aren't too dissimilar from our own human senses. They can hear, they can see, they can touch, and the sense of smell isn't too different from its sense of knowing where it is. And it isn't just today's mobile phones. There are sensors everywhere in everything. Anything that can be connected will be connected. So if you just think about some of the devices that you own in your own home today, from your PlayStation or gamer's machine to your smart TV, to your different tablets, mobile devices, possibly you've even got a camera or a fridge that is connected as well. Now, a lot of this happens through what's called femtocell technology. So in case none of you have come across that, so femtocell just means very, very tiny cell, smaller than nano. And a femtocell first came to market when mobile operators were using them to help people who lived in areas where they had very poor mobile connection, that you could increase your mobile signal through plugging it into your broadband or your internet. Now, this technology has been leveraged to connect people to all sorts of different devices. And that includes out in the real world, in monitors and shops, or have any of you seen the Happy Share ice cream machine, where if you approach this device and you smile at it, and if you smile big enough, you get a free ice cream. Okay, well, just in case you haven't, I'm going to play you a really short video just so you can see what can be done.
Remember when ice cream was pretty much the most exciting thing ever? Whatever happened to that? Unilever thought it was time to recapture that special feeling for kids of all ages to share, but with a remarkable, never-seen-before 2010 twist. The journey started in the lab, with specialist teams developing a machine unlike any other. A vending machine that senses when people are near, uses groundbreaking facial recognition to tell your age, gender, and crucially, if you're smiling. Intricate technology captures and measures your smile 15 times a second, and if it's big enough, rewards you with your very own ice cream for free. With 3G technology built in, it even enables you to upload and share your picture on Facebook. The result? Not just a revolutionary point-of-purchase experience, but a revolutionary experience, period. An ice cream van for the digital age. A machine, sure, but one that captures, stimulates, shares and spreads the most powerful and most human emotion of all. Share happy.
That's pretty cool, hey? But did you catch at the beginning? That wasn't 2012 or 2013, that was 2010. So this technology has been around a little while now. So we're going to begin to see a lot more of that kind of use of technology. And one mobile operator I was talking to, who will remain nameless, was telling me that it would have been perfectly feasible using that technology to have used the femtocells, to have recognized the user's phone as they approached that machine, and then they could have checked their database, found who that subscriber was, and they could have printed on the screen of that ice cream machine, they could have said, "I'm sorry, guy, you're not smiling enough today." They would have actually could have known who I was. And that's a little spooky. So, with more and more devices becoming wirelessly connected, from contactless payments to smart TVs to SIM cards in cars, the wealth of data that can be collected is going to be absolutely phenomenal. And when you piece together all other sources of data as well, if you think about social media websites, think about store loyalty cards, financial transactions, the amount of data is just going to be immense. And then beyond that, within Kantar, we've been exploring ways that we can connect consumers' biometrics data to a survey environment. So it enables us to look for patterns in how they're feeling rather than just how they say they're feeling. We've also been looking at ways in which we can understand how people are feeling and their sentiment. And this is something which Pankaj is going to be talking about tomorrow in his presentation. So all of these things together have enabled us to design a suite of tools that addresses how we take on these challenges. And at Kantar, we tend to categorize everything we do in research as being the active, passive, or social, in terms of active, where a respondent actually does something, and passive, where we're observing a respondent with their permission, and then social, where we're able to engage with lots of consumers at the same time. And we use the mobile to do that, from text messages to apps and to browsers. But the areas that I'm really excited about at the moment is where we can fuse or integrate data from these other sources, from these other connected devices. And With this opportunity, though, comes challenges and responsibilities. So the challenges are that we now face what I've been calling data obesity. There's so much data. Where do we even start? How do you sift through all that data to find the nuggets of information, of insight? And I'll give you an example. Okay, so Vodafone, an operator in just over 70 different countries around the world, and in any one of those countries, their typical network collects about 50, that's 50, terabytes of data a day. Now, so that's the challenge. Secondly, the responsibility. So there's a number of industry players that have had their fingers burnt in this space in terms of what they do and how they use this data, which really hasn't helped to build any consumer or even indeed industry confidence. So a couple of examples. Apple, back in 2011, received much criticism for the fact that their iPhones and iPads were collecting data on location and storing it in the cache on the devices. And the CEO at the time, Steve Jobs, gave a rare apology. But it wasn't just Apple. It was later seen that also Microsoft and Google had been collecting similar data and storing it on the cache. And then after that, we had Carrier IQ at the end of 2011, who a systems analyst had spotted that any phone with the Carrier IQ software on it was collecting actions such as emails, text messages, locations. And after a slew of accusations, it was actually found out that it was nothing to do with Carrier IQ whatsoever, and it was actually a mistake by the phone manufacturer. So, over this time, we've also found that market research is starting to get new bedfellows, new competitors from businesses which you wouldn't traditionally think are market researchers. And so here's a few examples of where we're starting to see some of those come in. So from stores, big retailers, to financial houses, from the digital, social, search, and from mobile operators. And okay, so just to bring that to life, if you take the retailers, so Tesco, one of the world's largest retailers, if not, they own 83% of a store loyalty card company called dunnhumby. And dunnhumby last year made $400 million in revenue just from monetizing their data that they collect from that store loyalty. So, to summarize, as a famous Greek titan, Prometheus would say, we need to be able to master this new fire, the fire that is data obesity and the challenges it brings with data intrusion, and has the ability to deliver significant and huge benefits. Mastering this will enable us to ask fewer generic survey questions and allow us to ask more relevant, behaviorally based questions. And we'll be able to identify those who have purchased new products, those that have been exposed to specific ads, use a specific app, use a specific search, in a specific location, use the price comparison site, etc., you name it. And so how are we going to master this? So in this new digital age, we need a new breed of researchers. We need researchers who are not only literate in designing good questionnaires and analysis, but bring new skills to the table, such as being literate in digital ethics, privacy, understanding behavioral data, understanding big data. So in this new world that we live in, at Kantar, we regard that everything must be horizontally connected. And in fact, it doesn't just stop at Kantar. Even across the whole WPP group, we have been looking at how we can connect different sets of data. So within Kantar, we can join purchase consumption data from Kantar World Panel with media exposure data from Kantar Media. But then more broadly in the group, we can join data from Group M, who responsible for a third of the world's digital media buying, and matching that with our survey habits. But I just want to end by showing you a little video which articulates how we see that mobile is going to influence our world and how we can collect insight and data from consumers. And this is very much what's behind a lot of what you're going to see from the Kantar presenters over the next couple of days.
The digital lifestyle is getting more complicated and cluttered. But at its heart is this, the one device people carry with them almost all the time. The device they use to search, to shop, to play, to learn. The device they use to meet friends and make friends. The device they use at work or at home or anywhere. Over 85% of the world's population are already mobile phone subscribers, and the numbers continue to rise every day. The use of smartphones is also on the increase, with over half the planet now using them. Now, Kantar is leading the way in collecting both attitudinal and behavioral data through this single platform. Introducing Kantar Mobile, a full range of mobile survey techniques, SMS, browser-based and apps to cover any phone, anywhere in the world. We also have groundbreaking data integration or fusion capabilities that combine data from many other sources, such as store loyalty cards, mobile carriers, social media, financial transactions, and smart TVs to truly enrich our insights. At Kantar Mobile, there are 3 ways that we use mobiles to do research: active, passive, or social surveys. In active surveys, we ask respondents to answer questions, submit diary entries, take photos, capture audio or video, or scan barcodes. Passive surveys are where, with the respondent's permission, we passively collect information about someone using their mobile device. So we can track someone throughout the day: what time they get up, their commute to work, what they do in their lunch hour, right the way through to what apps or sites they use, when and where. We can then respond to their actual consumer behavior. So if someone is researching buying a car, for example, or visiting a car showroom, we can trigger a survey about cars. In a social survey, a large number of people simultaneously take part in a large live event, such as a TV show or a sports fixture. The respondents can then share their thoughts in real time with each other and our researchers. Whether it's active, passive, or social surveys, Kantar Mobile's suite of capabilities offers a new dimension to the traditional way of generating insights. Global, immediate, more accurate, faster. Our game-changing technologies will enrich your data in a way that's never been possible before.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Guy, and thank you for sponsoring the event. So, questions. Do we have questions for Guy? Okay, we've got a microphone. If you could please indicate your name, country, company, and important honorific position if you have one.
Dan Foreman, Lumi Mobile, UK, SMR President.
Way.
You present some fascinating facts there and give us a glimpse of the future, and it's really exciting personally. But I'd like to hear from you how excited you feel about where all this stuff is going.
Wow, okay, so what I find most exciting is pretty much every day you wake up, it changes. So I think this last couple of years have been quite a roller coaster, and still when I present to people today, I still say to people, we tested our first mobile app only 2 years ago, and we thought it would bomb. We thought nobody would be interested. And actually, it was probably one of the most successful things we did. And we had respondents just on their own behalf just getting in touch saying, we loved it. So and I suppose we've never looked back since then. So what do I find exciting? Just find the fact that what you may think is impossible is never impossible, and it's just changing so fast. And what I've talked about today, I hope just gives a little bit of a flavour of where our industry is going. We've got new competitors that we never would have thought would enter our space. We've all been aware and talked about players such as Facebook and Google, but when you think Amazon, Tesco, Yahoo, there are going to be others in our space. And in terms of how the devices are developing, so we've got new devices, phablets, and where's it going to stop? The devices are just going to become increased proliferation of diversity. And of course, we've now got the latest smart TVs, and where's that going to stop? So I think it's an exciting, challenging time, and I'm starting to wonder for how much longer can we have what's called a mobile research conference, and actually it's going to become about the connected devices.
Questions?
Thank you. Praveen from India, Kriya Healthcare Panels. Guy.
Hi.
You made a statement that researchers need to bring new skills ASAP, understanding ethics, big data, bigger picture, technology. So is the age of the specialist over? Are we looking at more generalists right now?
Oh, I think the reverse. So as I was trying to articulate that the market research model hasn't changed, or didn't change for the best part of 80 years, from the 20s up to the turn of the century. And researchers then had to be experts in traditional research skills. And those skills are still needed today, more than ever, but in conjunction to that, they also need these additional skills that help us navigate the digital world that we live in. And I'm sure all of you have read about skills like data scientists. So I was reading an article in the Harvard Business Review the other day describing, will data scientists be the sexiest job of the 21st century? I don't know, who would have thought that? But we are looking for more skills in a researcher than what we were 15 years ago.
Questions? Well, just while you have a quick think, I've got one for Guy. You introduced the topic of the economy and the fact that we're in difficult financial times in large parts of the world, less so in Asia. How do you think that difficult financial times in those markets that have it will link to the uptake of mobile research?
Oh, okay. Okay, so I believe that the uptake of mobile varies around the world. There's different reasons for wanting to take up mobile. In the Western Europe and North America, it's a lot more about what you can do through a mobile that just isn't feasible through other methods. Being able to get really into that moment when somebody's in a shop making a purchase, being able to take a photo, do a GPS trigger. Those are just things you can't do online or through other methods. But in Asia, we've got a real mixture of things actually happening in Asia. So you've got that element still, especially in very developed Asia. But then in the less developed Asia, you've got the fact that people want to move away from what's still very traditional face-to-face interviewing and looking for ways in which they can improve quality, improve speed, and bring efficiencies. So that's really exciting, because nowhere else in the world do I see that diversity and all of that happening at the same place at the same time.
We have time for one more question. So ask now or forever hold your peace. Well, until coffee anyway. Okay, in that case, I'd like to say thank you very much, Guy.
Thank you.
Big hand, everybody.